With the E3 press conferences all done and dusted, I figured I'd talk about them. I won't discuss everything though, just things that caught my attention. So don't feel too bad if there's something I've glossed over, and post in the comments which games you're excited about. EA kicked off E3 presentations on Saturday. They also managed to kick every Command & Conquer fan in the groin with Command & Conquer Rivals. It's just a mobile game that doesn't deserve to even have the CNC name connected to it. What a disappointment. EA also talked a little about Battlefield 5, which is the only logical name of the successor of Battlefield 1. I've always enjoyed Battlefield games, and I'm glad it's a World War II shooter again. The destruction physics look pretty impressive with the snow and everything, and I also like the idea of being able to move things like cannons with vehicles. I'm fairly indifferent about the fact that they're adding some sort of battle royale mode. It's just an additional game mode, which essentially can never be a bad thing. I'm sure normal game modes will be available as well. No loot boxes or premium passes is great news as well. At the end they showed an overdramatic clip that really doesn't show much gameplay at all. And then at the very end of that, we got a quick glimpse of some guy getting chomped to bits by an airplane propeller. Nothing wrong with that. Thank God they didn't show a nipple, now that would have been indecent. Sunday had a few more presentations, starting with Microsoft. They started off with a trailer showing Halo Infinite. I haven't kept up with Halo at all since Bungie hasn't been involved. They didn't show that much either, just a few cinematic scenes. It did have a very Halo 1 vibe to it, which I think is a good thing. Forza Horizon 4 looks great graphically, nice environments with 4 seasons, and I really like that the game is set in Britain. I can't wait for people to make Top Gear and Grand Tour parodies. I'm not really into arcade-style driving games. Some stuff like those ridiculously over-exaggerated and unrealistic corner entries, or the fact that cars just plow through stone walls, turns me off a bit. But there's just so much car fan service that I think I'll be willing to overlook that. Besides, there's plenty of simulators I can play to scratch that itch. But it looks like I'll be missing out on this game for now anyways. I've got no Xbox One and I run Windows 7. This whole Windows 10 requirement seems really artificial to me. All other modern games seem to work perfectly fine for me. Cyberpunk 2077 looks interesting. I am a fan of CD Projekt Red. I've been playing the Witcher games ever since they first came out, and I absolutely love their DRM-free platform GOG.com. I always get my games there if the option exists. I'm always interested to see what they're up to. The setting looks really interesting, especially if you combine that with the fact that it's an open world. It looks like they're pulling in a lot of influences of 80s cyberpunk, which I think would be fun to explore. And Microsoft also announced that they have 5 new studios. 4 are already existing ones that they've bought, and 1 is entirely new. I'm guessing that Microsoft really wants to get the ball rolling with exclusive titles. The Bethesda conference happened later that day. For some reason, there was a concert. I didn't tune in to watch a concert. I just want to see the games. Elder Scrolls Legends might be an Elder Scrolls game, but I'm not really interested in card games. And the other games, Rage, Doom, and Wolfenstein, aren't really my thing either. There you go, a little bit of German. I do enjoy Elder Scrolls Online, but I'd rather talk about new games in this video. They finally started talking about Fallout 76. Todd already came on stage during the Microsoft presentation to tease the game, but obviously there was more content shown here. Apparently it's going to be an online game where you play with dozens of people. You can also solo everything or team up with others. Todd said that death doesn't mean the end of the game, so I'm going to guess they'll implement some sort of system like an Elder Scrolls Online where you lose item durability or something. I don't know how I feel about that. Also, wouldn't that eliminate modding? I always play with mods, whether it's Fallout or Elder Scrolls. I'm also a bit worried about a possible lack of immersion when you're playing with other people. I guess we'll see what happens. And also with the whole nuclear missiles thing, that's basically like a built-in griefing system. Not sure how that'll work. The Elder Scrolls Blades announcement caused a bit of a negative stir, at least in the livestream chat. At first they presented it as a mobile game, which is the reason for the initial bad response. I get why they want in on this market though. There are so many potential players, and it's also a good way to introduce new people into the series like Fallout Shelter did. Thankfully, they revealed that it is free, and it'll be coming out this fall. It's also going to be available for a bunch of platforms other than phones, including PC, which is great. VR compatibility has been announced as well. I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't really like touchscreen controls for games at all, but surely it must be alright on the PC. We'll see how it goes, I guess. I just hope they don't have to simplify the gameplay to make it work on so many different devices. They also revealed a new single-player IP called Starfield. It showed a planet and a satellite. Ooh, that's original for a sci-fi game. They didn't even show anything, and it only mentioned that it'll come out next year or so. Now, here's the most important part of the entire presentation, Elder Scrolls 6. I can't believe how excited I got by a 30-second clip that didn't even show anything other than landscape. I absolutely love Elder Scrolls games, and I got goosebumps just hearing the music, as silly as that sounds. I'm not good enough to identify which part of Tamriel this is, but the environment looks great. It looks a bunch greener than Skyrim did. That was something I missed from Oblivion. There was a lot more variety going on there in terms of color palette. Bethesda said that we could expect Elder Scrolls 6 sometime after Starfield. The last presentation of the day was from Devolver Digital. I wasn't interested in any of the games they showed, and the presentation itself was bizarre and awkward throughout. Day 3 had the most press conferences of any day, with 4. Square Enix were up first. They started off by showing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which will come out September 14th. As a fan of the original games in the 90s, I do like this new direction they've been taking with the series over the last few years. The only problem is that I can't stomach the camera wobble for some reason, and I get really nauseous after only a short time of playing. And it looks like this game has the same camera wobble going on. They also showed a quick Octopath Traveler trailer, which showed a July 13th release date. I think we knew that already? Not sure. Overall, I wasn't too impressed with the presentation. It was mostly just a collection of trailers, and there was nothing about Final Fantasy VII at all. They did show Kingdom Hearts 3, which I know will make a lot of people happy. I still haven't touched the series at all, so I don't really have anything to say there, except that I think that it's a good-looking game at least. Ubisoft were up next, but I wasn't into any of the games. I'm really burnt out with a lot of their games, and the ones I would be interested in, like Splinter Cell or Prince of Persia, were of course absent. Also, they started off with a Just Dance 2019 dance thing. It's like, jeez. Later on, Miyamoto came on stage, probably trying to save the presentation. The PC gaming show came after that. The host sounded a bit like Saab Kyle, which I thought was amusing, but he was actually very good. There was a lot of variety, and I have to say there was much less theatrical BS than the other presentations. It took a while before something really caught my attention, which was Valkyria Chronicles 4. One of my all-time favorite games is the first Valkyria Chronicles, so I'm really happy to hear that VC4 is getting a PC release. Sony's press conference was the last of the day. Speaking of last, The Last of Us 2, or Part 2 rather, was where they started off with. I liked the first one a lot, and the new game seems to have the same suspenseful atmosphere. There were no zombies in sight, but I think gameplay still looks good from what was shown. And the chat couldn't handle the kissing scene, which was pretty funny. Ghost of Tsushima looked amazing. It's made by Sucker Punch Studio, the same people who made the Infamous games. The game is open world with beautiful landscapes. Personally, I'm not that much of a fan of the gore, but I can overlook that. The way the game flows reminds me a bit of The Witcher 3, except it's in historical Japan. While very detailed, I think the graphics lean towards a stylistic look. It's as if they took Muramasa's pretty foliage and somehow made it 3D. I really dig it, and I can't wait to see more. It's just great how all the leaves are falling down. I love that stuff. Tuesday was the last day of E3, with only Nintendo left to show off their stuff. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is something I've been really looking forward to. Because both games will take place in Kanto, there won't be any annoying Alola level design quirks I don't like. I like that you can play local multiplayer and the fact that it interfaces with Pokemon Go. My problem with Pokemon Go was that I lost interest because it didn't feel like you were really doing that much with it, or couldn't do that much with it, rather. But now you can even bring Pokemon into a fully featured Pokemon game, which makes it feel like you're really working towards something that feels greater than just Pokemon Go. The Pokeball is a neat little accessory and reminds me a little of the Pokewalker, which I really liked, actually. I did a video on that last year. I thought the video turned out great, so check that out if you're interested. And I was also impressed with the new Mario Party. I thought it was really cool how you could use two Switches together to play one game. There's one point where they align both Switches in various ways, and the game knows how they're orientated by connecting the two parts that the fingers swiped over, if that makes sense. I thought that was really clever. But the most important thing is that it looks like they removed the whole all players in one cart thing. That was so annoying in the Wii U version. I like when players are spread out all over the map. I think this is going to be a fun one. Fire Emblem Three Houses, or Tree Houses as I like to call it now, looks really good as well. I don't see anything groundbreaking, but I don't think there needs to be. It looks like a Fire Emblem game with better graphics, so yes please. Fortnite was announced for the Switch. I've never tried it. Actually, I have tried it now. I wrote that script before I tried it. But honestly, if I were playing a battle royale game, I would probably prefer PUBG anyway. I will say I'm not really into this particular stylized look, and I don't like the game's brand of humor either. And I think this whole idea of building things on the fly seems kind of unappealing. But a lot of people like it, so I guess it's good news for anyone wanting to play it on the Switch. And hey, it's free, so might as well just try it out. I will just say one thing, there's so many people hating on something when it's popular. I think it's kind of unfair to judge something just because it's popular or unpopular, so it's free, just play it. If you like it, cool. If not, whatever. Octopath Traveler will have a new demo on June 14th, with the save game carrying over to the real game when it comes out, so that's actually kind of awesome. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate took up a good section of the presentation. I don't have that much experience with the series, but so far from what I've seen on the internet, all the new, or most of the new changes, features, and characters seem to be well received. I'm sure there's going to be nitpicking because that's just how that works. I was so off with my prediction though that it would be just a port, but I'm happy to be wrong, of course. And that's my take on the E3 presentations. Again, sorry if there was anything I skipped over that you wanted to see. Hopefully you enjoyed my ramblings about E3, and let me know what you're interested in, whether I talked about it here in this video or not. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.